Nothing like a sweaty headband from the night before. The camera lens keeps fogging up because it is humid out here. Today is actually supposed to be the hottest day of the year for us so far. I think it's supposed to feel like 105. Yeah, it's gonna be warm.
Touch my skin and lift your mind. You knew all the words to say. Held the strings tied to my heart. Pulled and pushed away. My friends don't bring you up no more. I'm sure yours don't mention me. I remember how we were before. It don't feel like memories. Why can't I get over you?
What's up, guys, and welcome to this morning's video. I'm out on basically just a sunrise cruise, just spinning the legs out, having a great morning, not doing anything intense at all. My whole purpose of this ride is to ride a solo ride with the Garmin Varia. Now, I've already had a couple cars come around me, and I can tell you, I love this thing. Like, just being able to chill out here on my own, especially when I'm like focusing on recording a video, it's so super cool to have. It's definitely a device that I could easily recommend to anybody who rides on the road, especially if you ride solo. Because sometimes I easily get distracted when I'm riding by myself. Maybe I'm doing intervals and I'm too focused on the intervals. It's just really nice to have that overlay of oncoming traffic behind you, and also having the light. So I didn't finish reviewing the Garmin Varia in the other video because I wanted to do the solo ride with it and really see how beneficial it is, because sometimes in the group you can get false readings, but for the most part it works really well. So right now, since I'm just spinning out the legs, I'm just gonna finish this ride up and I'll give you guys an overall recap of all my thoughts of the Garmin Varia as soon as I'm finished. It's a great morning, but it's really humid. All right, one really cool experience I just had with the Varia is that I was coming up to a four-way stop sign and it alerted me there was a car behind me. Why this was so cool was because I needed to take the lane because I was turning left. That way they wouldn't try to go around me when I was turning, so that was super cool.
Been trying to get you off my mind. There's no good reason why. I'm still in love.
All right, it's pretty easy for me to say that one ride with the Garmin Varia by myself and I could not ride without it. Here are my thoughts. Like I said, this has been my first solo ride with it, and I ride out in the country. I live in the middle of nowhere. I barely have high-speed internet, and when I ride on the back roads, I don't expect there to be cars. So when there's a car, sometimes I can be surprised by that. And that actually happened to me today when I was headed back on a back road. Car popped up out of nowhere, the Varia detected it, showed up on my head unit, and I knew the car was there. So basically, I don't know how I could do a ride without the Varia now, having ridden with it just this once by myself. When I'm with a group, I feel like I'm more aware of our situations, but when I'm by myself, I feel like I zone out a little bit more. So I definitely prefer to ride with it, especially when I'm by myself. People mention the price, about how expensive it is. Sure, it's $200. $200 for the radar is really not a bad price when you're talking about being more safe out on the road. There was one time where a car was coming the other direction. It actually picked it up for just a second when it was behind me. And then when I was in the group ride, I did mention before that sometimes it picked up the riders in the group. They would pop up for just a second and then they would disappear. It's not a device that's meant to detect riders. A couple people asked me that, if they could use it to maybe see if people were behind them or not, but it doesn't really work that way. It seems that once it detects it's a rider, not a car, it removes it from the screen. You don't want a bunch of dots on your screen while you're riding when you want to see cars, not riders. So in a group, it can pop up a false positive a lot more often because of that, but you kind of learn when it's a rider because when it first pops up, it is a lot closer to you on the screen. The screen itself has a dot at the very top that's you. And then basically when a car pops up, it usually pops up at the bottom when it detects it, and then it slowly moves closer to you. When it's a rider, that rider, their dot is a lot closer to your dot. So you kind of learn those false positives pretty quickly. And I started to feel more comfortable on my second group ride with it, calling out when cars were behind us. I felt like I knew a little bit better when it was a car and not a rider. It is really cool to be in a group and be able to say car back without even knowing, without even looking that there's a car back there. And it's very handy, obviously, to the group, because sometimes people in the group may zone out. So being able to give them a heads up very quickly is really cool. The only thing I found that I wish was a little bit better is I wish the distance of the radar was just a bit better. There are a couple times where I could look back on a flat stretch and see a car back there and the radar still hadn't caught it yet. But it catches them really well when they do get closer. I mean, there is a distance limit, so maybe in the next version they'll be able to make the radar even stronger and pick up cars from a further distance. But it's still a really good device. I mean, it still works really well. I still highly recommend it. Like I said, especially if you ride by yourself, I think it is awesome. Definitely get one if you're riding on your own. I mean, there's no reason not to be honest. Pick one up. I mean, there's going to be a link in the description down below on Amazon. If you want one, get one. Like I said, it's a super cool product. It is much later in the day now, and I'm actually going to do my second ride of the day with a small group here. It rained a little bit. Perfect weather, perfect conditions to use the Garmin Varia. Is it Varia or Varia? I think I've said it both ways in this video. And I had a thought. A cool feature, if Garmin could figure this out, would be to put some kind of like built-in dog whistle into it that would just keep the dogs from chasing you. Like, Garmin, you should run with that. Anyways, like I said, this is the end of the video. And just to recap, I love the device. Gonna keep using it every time I ride on the road. So pick you up one if you want to be just a little bit more safe. Hit that thumbs up if you like this video, and I'll see you on the next one.
Do you ever ask what if?